Hello and welcome to November. So, my name is Vic, and for this month, it is finally time to dive into draft 2 of my political fantasy named Dragon Blood. And so, this month, well, more likely in the next 2 months, I want to finish Act 1 in the draft 2 and rewrite all of that, because that part needs the least amount of work, and I think it could be somewhat reasonable to get it done in like 2 months. So that is the agenda for now. We will see how that goes, because I am known for overestimating my ability to write fast or like show up, and I tend to set up unreasonable goals. Hopefully this is not the time, but who knows? Really, I cannot tell. I am hoping it will pan out, but... So today is November 1st, and I have already done some sprints with my local writing Discord group. So I have about 600 words done already and like one scene of chapter 2. Is it too crazy to say I want to finish chapter 2 today? Probably yes. Mostly because no matter how much of the outlining and plotting I have done, I think I need to dive back into it because some scenes are already giving me trouble. Not something I wanted to deal with, but here we are. Today will be slightly busy because, as you can see from the light, we have quite nice weather. And it's like, what, almost 20 degrees outside, even though it's November, so I want to use that and get some time outside. And then, because it's November 1st, and it's a holiday which we call All Saints' Day, I have to go to the cemetery to kind of remember the dead. So that is on the agenda, and only then I can turn back to writing. Alright, I am deciding to cut it here for now. I am at 1600 words, which means I have done 600 words earlier today and 1000 words now, which is a good progress considering I have not written anything since July. I do not think I like the pace at which I'm going, but it cannot be helped pretty much. I was hoping that the rewriting would be going faster because I basically have the previous draft to go off of, and yet just like rewriting what's already on the page to be better is taking so much problem-solving skills, because I'm not just rewriting it like line by line, I'm adding considerable amount more of stuff that was missing previously, and it's just giving me issues because I can see how it was done in the old version, and so I'm like, I need to do it in a different way so it lands better, and still cannot figure out what the new better way is. When I look at the new version versus the old version, the good thing is I can see a massive difference. Like the 3 years absolutely made a difference. And it is even seen, like even without the reading, when you look at the page itself, how it's structured, it looks different. There are still issues, like I still think I'm missing a little bit of internality and descriptions, and the prose is not landing the way it could. Again, this is a developmental edit. I should not be worrying about the prose landing or not. That is for the future drafts. That's the mentality I'm trying to keep in here, to fix the plot and focus on conveying the information I want to convey and let the execution be itself. And like, it makes sense, but it's difficult to keep up with that long term. Like, I keep writing and writing and still spiraling into this same issue of, oh no, it's not as great as I was hoping it would be. The other little issue I have is like with characterization a little bit. Peter is a little easier on this front. I have just decided to change his personality a little bit and add this bit of spice, fire to it. Previously, he was coming across a little whiny because he was lacking agency. At least that's what the other readers said. And like, yes, but he's in a situation where he really has zero agency. Here I have decided to make him at least fight against that in the little ways he can, like being a little bit resentful. I won't even say resentful because that's not the correct word, but like fighting against it a little bit. Like he snaps at his father in this chapter, and then he snapped at his father in the previous chapter. So like is no longer completely passive, even if doing that gives him more issues. As for Aurora, she is the actual struggle I am battling with right now, because she is in a situation where she's completely confused as to what is going on, in a little bit of a PTSD spiral where she's getting overwhelmed by her memories that she doesn't want to see and interact with. Getting through that, conveying that in a way that is telling, confusing, but also not fully distracting, and then also focusing on the plot itself and getting her to do stuff. Yeah, finding that balance is not an easy thing. I want her to come across as both confused and lost, but also with a sense of drive and agency that is a little bit lacking from Peter. But that is a little bit difficult to manage and also keep the reader from being overly confused to the point they are not able to track what is going on. And that is the update for tonight, and I really should go to bed now because it's 2 a.m. Well, hello, it is November 2nd, 9 p.m. And today I have done no writing yet, but I did start on the filling out of the reverse outline of draft 2, so there is that. As I have promised, I want to keep track of the scenes ahead of time instead of then bunching them all at once. So here you can actually see how much I have done so far. So like chapter 1, I have added 2 more scenes to it. And then chapter 2, I have finished the first 2 scenes and now I'm on the 3rd scene. It is 1 a.m. and here I come with an update. So after over 2 hours of writing, I have 1800 words, which is great. Chapter 3 is at 3400 words. And I have reached the last scene of chapter 2. I have hoped to finish chapter 2 today, but apparently not, because I have forgotten that there are 4 scenes instead of 3. So the last one is still to be written. Thankfully, it should not be that long, even though that's the most important part of the scene. We will see. So far, every scene I have written has bulked up about 30 to 40% compared to the original one from 3 years ago. So who knows? Good. Well, I was going to say morning of the 3rd day, but it's more like afternoon. And so I have finished chapter 2 and now moved to chapter 3. And here is where the issues start and where my lack of preparing comes to bite me. Because now the previous chapter was somewhat okay. This one, the 3rd one, needs to structurally change drastically. And so I need to return to this and look at that better and reread the chapter again to figure out how to fix it. And so take this, which is the sticky notes outline, and actually move that to Scrivener and flesh it out to have like some proper revision checklist, I guess. for each chapter, because right now it is getting confusing, let's say. Like, I know that a lot here has to change, and the other chapters are broken as well, so I cannot look at them basically paragraph by paragraph the way I was doing it until now and just give the paragraphs a facelift. I actually need to, I wouldn't say rewrite the chapters from scratch, but basically yes. So that's where we are at on the third day, moving to chapter 3. Also, I have just hit 9k in the full manuscript, which is crazy. But yes, more of an outlining session, and then we can dive back into actual writing. My plan was to outline this until like chapter 6-ish, so like just a sequence ahead of time. Well, 2 hours later, I am at 1700 words in this outline and 14 chapters in. So I guess this went farther than expected, but in a good way. At this point, I am reaching this moment where I am not fully sure how to divide the scenes into chapters in a cohesive way, because it's like too far ahead for me to wrap my head around. And so I guess this is the point where I am going to switch back to drafting chapter 3, because I have done everything I have set up to do and more. Also, I should probably stop drafting or like writing at all for tonight, because it's almost midnight and I still have a school assignment to do, which I don't want to do at all, and probably won't. Hello and good evening. It's Tuesday, November 4th, and about 6:30, and I've had a rather busy day with both lessons, then going to wander in the forest with my horse. But in between, I managed to stop by the mall to get lunch and participate in some writing sprints. And so I already have around 500 words, a little less, I guess. I don't have the exact number because it's just an estimate, but I guess it is a head start, and I am now steadily approaching 10,000 words in the manuscript of draft 2. And like, how is that possible? Seriously, I am only now starting chapter 3. How am I already at 10k? This book will be massive. Either way, is it too crazy to hope I will finish chapter 3 tonight? I guess if I actually sat down and did it, then no, but then again, I tend to procrastinate, and I have to wake up rather early tomorrow, so I cannot write into the gremlin hours. Yeah, we will see. I want to get as much done today as possible, at least reach those 10k, but chapter 3, we will see. This is the one that is like giving me issues a little bit, because I've added new scene and the entire dialogue of the old part is just horrible and needs to be pulled out completely. I am emerging from the first 2 chapters that were somewhat okay in terms of the writing, because I had it reviewed by other people, and now chapter 3 I do not have any feedback and I have to do it all on my own. That's not a very great situation for me to be in, because it gives me a little bit of this initiation anxiety. Chapter 3 is basically where the travel away starts, and where the 2 characters finally get to truly interact with each other and introduce themselves to each other and see how their dynamic develops. So there is also that aspect of it. And it's just, yes, I did the outline yesterday, and yes, it helped. and still I am just scared of diving in. Hello and welcome to day 5. It is absolutely funny to me how I said yesterday that I could get all of chapter 3 done. Absolutely not. I managed to finish the first scene and then about half of the second scene, but I have when I made those statements, I have conveniently forgotten that I have absolutely changed the structure. And so I have decided to dissolve chapter 4, which means the first half of chapter 4 is now the back end of chapter 3, and the other half of chapter 4 would be added to chapter 5, which would now be chapter 4. And so this chapter will be about double its length in just like the raw material of the first draft. So of course I could not get it done in one evening. Maybe if I truly sat down at 6 p.m. and worked on it, then I would have, but I spent the next 4 hours doing everything but writing and only got to start working at like 10:30. Then I got only hour and a half-ish of work done before I had to go to bed. And so, yes, I have 1600 words, which is great, but it still didn't meet my unrealistic goal. Honestly, I'm still kind of shocked that I am keeping up with the traditional NaNoWriMo goal, which I have never intended on following. This has happened once before when I was drafting my romance fantasy book 3-ish years ago, where I didn't intend on writing this much, but somehow it went word count wise so easy and keeping up with it. So I basically back then I tried to see how long I can keep up with the nano daily goal and how much I can get done. Answer was about 2-ish weeks of actual work, and then it somehow fell apart, but still I got 25,000 words into that draft, which is a lot. And now my writing speed is much higher and I can do much more without getting tired. So hopefully I could get that much done this month, but we will see. I'm already at 7K, which is crazy to think about, honestly. And also, I did reach 10K yesterday, which is absolutely crazy. How is this going so incredibly fast? How? Yes, this book will be massive. I keep saying it, but it's true. And while I want to go right now and see how much I can progress today, hopefully at least half of this chapter, I am no longer saying all of it because that's just not real. So half could be. But no, we have sunset right now, which means I should go out with the dogs and on a run. Absolutely not excited about it because it's deceptively, it looks like it should be warm and sunny. It's not. It's icy cold that gets into the bones. So not very excited about facing that, but nothing can be done about it. I have to. Probably I should get some sword practice before the sun goes down and see about that. Honestly, I like going out with the dogs after dark anyway, because then I don't have to run into other people with other dogs and kind of avoid those situations. I can just go and be unbothered. So we will see about that. Today's writing was derailed by me remembering that I actually have some assignments and studying to do, and that took 3 hours instead of the expected one. I only had maybe under 1 hour to focus on actually writing on my project, and it's already midnight, so I am extremely tired after the whole day of being very busy. So I got about 1000 words done, which is still good, but this time the pace was really slow and it started to be really a struggle of figuring out what of the old chapter to use or repurpose and what to like completely scratch out. And I feel like I have just like fully not deleted but ignored half, half of the chapter, something like that. Like there is this whole incident and conversation around it that I have just scratched completely. Like it serves no purpose. I don't like the tone of the old chapter anyway, so better not provoke them getting into arguments. Maybe that is the coward's way out, but it is the way I'm taking right now. So yes, the current challenge is basically putting all the puzzle pieces back together and seeing what new image they are making, which I'm not fully sure about, but so far I liked it. I am very notoriously not a very good judge of what I'm doing and how good it actually is. I would actually need someone to look at it to evaluate it, but either way, I have reached almost 9K for the month, and it's only 5 days in, which is insane because in previous times I would maybe do 10K in a month and have that like a big challenge and actually struggle to reach it. And now I have reached that in 5 days and I didn't even break a sweat. What is going on? Like, seriously, my writing speed and output have just skyrocketed over the past year or so. They're still not great, like, I wouldn't consider myself a fast writer, but compared to what I used to be like, where I got quite tired after like 300, 400 words and had to take a break or like do a lot of thinking and not being able to like write too long, like consecutively in days. While now I just write and it's like nothing, and the word counts are absolutely massive compared to what I used to have been putting out. I mean, yes, I am tired, but currently I'm more tired because of the whole day and not the writing aspect by itself. So, could I have written more today? I guess maybe if I started earlier in the afternoon, 100,000 words is enough, even if it's lower than the previous word counts. And so I am happy, and you should be too. So, good night, and see you on day 6. Hello, and welcome to day 6. Today is not going as planned, like absolutely. As you can see here, I have acquired a new plant. It's probably a yucca, I'm not sure. That's what my mother said. And I need to figure out a way where to put it because it doesn't fit downstairs anymore and it needs to be in direct sunlight, which means my room. The window behind me is reason enough, but there is already a plant on my desk and there is another one, so I'm trying to figure out where to put it. Today I was supposed to go to my classes and after that go to work and only return here in the evening, but that is not happening. I went to the class, which was exhausting because it was basically a double class. And now I am home with my shift cancelled, which means I should be going to the horse, but I do not feel like doing that. Honestly, too tired after the whole day at school. And I should be writing now that I have time, but also that is probably off the schedule for now. Because, as I said, double lecture, which means double notes, which means my fingers already hurt and I need a little bit of a break. And then I still have preparations and readings for tomorrow to do. Such is the life of a university student. Either way, I hope to get to writing today, but I don't know how much I will actually manage to get done. I am hoping somehow to finish chapter 3, but I am saying that for a third day in a row. So I'm not saying I lost hope, but let's be realistic, nothing goes as planned today, so I don't think that will go as planned as well. I don't know what is wrong with this day, or why am I so insanely tired, because I didn't go to bed that late. I guess it's the supermoon because I just woke up late after a lot of time asleep. And now, after the school, I just arrived home like completely tired. And I made the mistake of not taking a nap right away. And so by the time I finished the little writing session I had, it was 4 p.m. And currently our sunset is at 4:30, She's insane. And so I was like, okay, I cannot go and take a nap now because if I woke up and it was already dark outside, I was scared that it would like completely dysregulate me. Like I would be even more tired and not know what is going on. So I decided to try the other option and like sit it out and then go to bed early. But as I said, I have been fighting the urge to just collapse and sleep since like 4 p.m. and it's now 8. And just I am completely fighting the urge to go to bed with the chickens, as people say here. Maybe I should have picked up my sword and go do practice outside while there was still light, but I didn't feel like doing it, and then I went to eat, and then it was too late to do that, and so now I'm suffering. Maybe movement would have helped, and I didn't do it. Why? Because the previous several days of trying to practice with the sword left me with my back and shoulders being completely sore. The good part is now I have more sympathy for my characters who all can use the sword and have like rigorous training. And here I am dying after 10 minutes of like standing alone in the yard, not even like sparring with anyone. My poor character, seriously. Whoever thinks like swinging a sword is easy, no, that thing is heavy. My friends from my local Discord are currently doing writing sprints, and I'm tempted to join, but I'm worrying that I will just get distracted and not do it, or like stare at the screen and my brain not processing or writing. As I said, I only have like 500 words for today written, which technically meets my goal, but after the word counts on previous days, I don't feel that good about it, which is absolutely stupid, but what can I do? I got maybe 500 words done today on a stream, and then my brain decided to turn into mush, so instead, here we have a drawing of a dragon, specifically Lavender, one of our sisters. I have only drawn her in her dragon form a few times, so there is that. Should I maybe also talk about my drawings? Because like I put a lot of my speed paints into these videos just as background basically, but I never really talk about them that much. I don't know, I sometimes feel like I have nothing to say about them, which is not fully true. Like there is a lot of stuff that can be said about my art, probably too much. I never get to actually do it. And I know that people are enjoying the speed paints themselves. I'm just not sure if they would actually enjoy me talking about them as much, because this is, I mean, for now it is a writing related channel, but I have been doing a lot of other creative stuff, so maybe just broadening out wouldn't hurt me that much. Who knows? Either way, so as I said, this is a portrait of Lavender, who is Aurora's older sister. She is the actual princess, like she is the daughter of the previous king, and she becomes sort of the antagonist during this series because she has this not very reasonable gripe with Aurora. And so that's who she is, and my friend called her a proud chicken. And like, yeah, that is very much her personality. She's very proud and edging on arrogant, but not very accomplished. I wouldn't say accomplished, like she's supposed to be talented, but she's not very truly intimidating when you look at it, which I should probably change because that doesn't make a good antagonist in itself. But like then she is Aurora's sister, and so the emotional bond and strain of that makes for an interesting story, even if she is not the most competent person around. What is going wrong with this scale? No, like seriously, I hate drawing these front scales. I never know how to kind of angle them to make them look proper. And can see me struggling here. Oh boy. This is going so strangely fast. Like, I have been struggling with the previous layers with the sketches and getting it correct, and now it's just flowing, I guess. This is not the final sketch layer. I make like a million sketch layers. This is actually the fourth one on just this piece, so that shows you anything. It's that I am very messy and like to sharpen it down. That kind of fits also my approach with writing, because I have been doing a lot of just putting it on the page and hoping I can figure out how to fix it later. So that ended up with me figuring out now that I need to basically rewrite the entirety of Act 2, pull it out, and instate the new plots. And that is kind of anxiety-inducing if I think about it too much, because, like, yes, rewriting is normal, but this whole book is a rewrite already of an older project where I have basically written one book and then realized that I have to divide it into four. And so what would become plot of book one just needed to be pulled out and rewritten completely with a new plot. So I'm not very happy about the fact that now I have to go back again and rewrite from scratch a considerable amount of this book all over again. One would have thought that I had figured it out well enough to not have to do that, but apparently I will. Well, hello, long time no see. It is now day 10 and I have sort of fallen off from remembering to update. So here we are. Currently, I have managed to finish chapter 3 at last. Now I am battling through chapter 4, which is giving even bigger issues. And like actual issues. And so currently I am at 13,000 words, which sounds great, and it is great, but I'm also 3,000 words behind. And I don't like that. We are going to change that tonight because I have decided to make an impromptu writing sprinting event for my home Discord server. There are a lot of other updates I have about the writing itself, but those will have to wait for after this. Alright, it is now midnight, and after 3.5 hours of writing, I have 2,805 words, which means I am missing about 150 to be caught up with the NaNoWriMo bar, but who cares? I don't care. I couldn't be bothered to finish off the last 100 words, even if I wanted to. I just don't have it in me. Did I technically fail? Yes. Do I care? No. It counts. I got as close to a 3,000 words in one sitting as I possibly could. Not even one sitting. I don't think I have ever reached 3,000 words in a day. Ever. In like 12 years of writing. So there we are. Also, I have finished chapter 4, which ended up being 5,000 words long. And now I am at almost 20,000 words on the second draft, and it's only been 10 days. This is insane. So, does 100 missing words bother me? No, absolutely not. I am still farther ahead than I could have ever hoped for. So, a win is a win. Well, hello. It has been a while. Last time I did anything was November 10th, and today is November 7th. How the time flies. Okay, so what happened? last time I was doing the challenge of catching up on 30,000 words in one night, and I actually succeeded. What I didn't expect was I won't even say motivation, but something to fall apart the very next day and not come back for a while. I don't know, I guess I got burnt out on the specific sequence I was writing about. And also, in the middle of the November was my birthday. And so everything was extremely busy and chaotic in like a strange way. So a lot of strange energy. And so I didn't manage to properly get back to writing at all. I wanted to, but I just couldn't for some reason. I don't know why. I finished chapter 4 and moved to chapter 5 and just crash completely, nothing moving. And so that was bothering me for a while because I wanted to sit down and start writing, and then the whole day would pass and nothing. And that repeated for like a week, even more. Then I was like, okay, maybe I am too blocked and let's leave this be. Maybe, I wouldn't even say never, but like the writing challenge I'm trying to do is just not working this month. And so let's just leave it be and put off the pressure. And I guess that worked out for a while, but then I got a little bit of a mental problem. And suddenly I dove into writing just like random scenes out of order, some of them that have never happened, just like what if scenarios, some of them from like the continuation series, and just like whatever I wanted, just so it would like help me mentally process what is going on actually in my life. And then suddenly, 3-ish days ago, I circled back to writing a scene that was a flashback of what happened before book 1. And that led me to rewriting a scene. As I said, I was writing chapter 5, and suddenly I jumped to chapter 7, and things are moving. I don't know why, but suddenly the resistance is just not there, and I'm just able to connect with the characters and keep moving. So that is probably where we are. So jumped 2 chapters. I still need to figure out what to do with chapter 5 and 6 and fill those out, but that can wait a little bit. So like, I think I can just continue on from here and let's see. So now we have, I guess with today, since I haven't written anything yet today, we have 4 days left of November. And so I guess let's go make the best of them. I am currently, even with the strange lull I had for like half of this month, I have already reached like 23,000 words in the draft, also with like random scenes. And so that is already more than I have ever written in a single month. And yet I haven't written for half a month. I don't know how far I want to take this. Probably won't reach 30,000. That would be too much, but who knows? So let's see how far I can take it. Now, no goals, no word counts, no anything, just let's see how far this goes. I wanted to originally reach the first 10 chapters in Act 1 in this month, but that's clearly not happening. I have 5.5 done, and there is no way I can do another 5 in 4 days. As you can see, I have updated my writing setup a little bit, so this is new. I had just like a black mousepad in here before, and this is so much better because it's so much bigger and fits in with the color scheme so much better. But the bad part about it being so light is this. And so I am very messy, and so this is already messy, even though it's been here for like a week. This specifically is my eyeliner. Thankfully, this is washing machine washable, so if I get too pissed, I can just throw it there and be done with that. You thought I would be actually writing? Oh, absolutely not. Time for a sword practice and some sort of upper body workout. I don't know why, but I always end up doing leg days, and now I cannot. Like, why are those more entertaining than doing upper body or back, even though I need those a little bit more? Why? I guess this is how the blockage happened, because I've set out to write at 7 p.m. and it's currently 11 and I'm only now opening Scrivener, so here we go. Alright, it is 1 a.m. and I'm done with the writing for today. And it is rather chaotic because I have finished the last scene of chapter 7, which I was working on out of order. And so now like it has like 4,000 words. But the beginning of that chapter is absolutely missing because I picked up on it from like, I wouldn't say the middle, but it was not the actual beginning of it. Is it finished or is it not? I have reached the end, but beginning is not there. I cannot move forward to chapter 8. Actually, I want to jump forward to chapter 10 and dive into the politics, but that would be too chaotic. And so now I have jumped back into chapter 5 and tried to get that moving. And like, I have added to it considerably, but it is still not moving. Yeah. I don't know what to even say or think because, like, what is going on in my brain currently? I have the damn outline, I have it open, I have the old scenes, I know what to change and how, and yet it's just jumping around, going absolutely crazy. What is wrong with me? No, but like, seriously, I have been so chaotic and disorganized lately, and it's probably harming me at this point because, like, this week specifically, it had happened 3 days in a row that I have underestimated how many alarms do I have set for the morning. And every single time I have woke up at least 30 minutes late and had a frantic panic about getting ready and going to my lectures. Twice I was late. This morning I somehow, by some witchcraft miracle, managed to arrive 5 minutes before the teacher came, but that was probably teleportation or something like that. This cannot continue. I am such a mess. Remember the time in September when I was like super organized and I had this routine and everything was working? I should return to that somehow, hopefully. Because things were actually working back then and I didn't feel like I was spinning around in circles or being slapped by the wheel of fortune. So maybe I was onto something? Maybe. I am not a rigid routine person, but it seems I need at least something because this is getting out of hand. Okay, but now it is way too late. Thankfully, my lecture tomorrow starts at 11:30, so I still have time to do stuff in the morning, but I guess I have already sabotaged myself on any attempts at waking up at a reasonably early hour. Actually, no good night, because I have some more thoughts, and I know that if I don't get them out now, they will haunt me while I try to fall asleep, and so it will ruin my already shaky sleep. So here we go. So I have just updated my track bar, and I am at almost 24,000 words written this month, which insane by itself. 22-ish thousand words in the second draft. So I'm looking at this massive number and I'm thinking, I am not doing like traditional NaNoWriMo because A, I cannot write that amount of words in a month no matter what, and second, this is a second draft and so it works a little different, but like still, who came up with the threshold of 50,000 words for finishing a draft? Like, does that actually work for anyone? I am wondering really, because like everyone is treating it like you should have finished draft by the 50,000 words, even if it's like very rough. And I'm looking at my 23,000 words and my 5 chapters, and I'm not even across the setup stage. Am I doing something wrong? or is that estimate just way off and working for more contemporary stories and not epic fantasy? I guess that's the answer, that I'm writing epic fantasy, but still, it has always bothered me how people keep claiming stuff like, oh, you can write a full draft in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, okay, if your draft is like under 80,000 words and you can fit your story into that reasonable amount, then yes, okay. This draft, if I fit under 200,000 words, I will be happy. If anyone comes at me that I'm writing slow, or that I should have been done with this draft in like only a few months, I will pick up that sword and use it. That's just too much, especially because this amount of word count also increases the complexity of the whole plot, and that slows down the process and the thinking required for the writing, so everything is slowed down and it requires more work. And why is my cat suddenly trying to climb at me? This is turning very chaotic, and I think I got my rant out. And so now should be the time to go to sleep. Well, hello there. It is now Friday afternoon, even though it doesn't look like that because it's full dark already. That is pissing me off incredibly. Like, it was 2:30 today and we were going to lunch and it already looked like 7 p.m. What the hell? Anyway, so what I was saying yesterday about having to re-establish my routine, oh yeah, absolutely. Because how is it possible that probably this specific weather messes me up so badly that I have slept so long I could be late to a class that starts at 11:30. 11:30. How? I have no explanation. So I guess this weekend will be for re-establishing some sort of routine and getting myself back to working state, because this is not workable. This whole week is so chaotic and I'm late everywhere and I don't like it. And I'm thinking, do I finish chapter 7 with the beginning segment of it, or do I push on chapter 5? Because like so far pushing on chapter 5 is not doing very well, and I think I will just skip it completely, but then I don't want to leave this gap in here. Hello and happy Saturday. I did not write yesterday at all, like nothing, zero. But what I did do is I made this, I wouldn't call it challenge, I call it a quest for not just workouts, but like getting my life together, like creating a routine in like 14 days. And I sent it to my friends, and some of them are very interested in joining me on it. So today is basically day 1, and I have already sort of failed at the waking up portion, because I have said that I want to wake up before 9, and I woke up 9:30, which is like not atrocious, but like day 1 and I'm already not doing it. What the hell? Anyway, so today we need to remedy the fact that I have not written anything yesterday. The issue is I still have quite a lot of stuff on the agenda because I have this house currently to myself. Nobody is here. So yes, it is currently noon and I have already turned on our new robotic vacuum, but I don't know if it's getting overwhelmed with the size of the space, but it really didn't do a good job before it turned itself back into its little home. And so I had to redo the whole vacuuming stuff. Not something I wanted to deal with, but now it's quite late. I vacuumed here yesterday and it already looks like a mess. What the hell? I still need to figure out what to do for myself for lunch, and the agenda for today is to go to the horse, deal with him, and then I need to walk the dogs. And only then I will have time to myself. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to sit down for 30 minutes and actually do something before I need to actually go. So let's do that. Alright, I think I have made up for not writing yesterday because today I have written over 2000 words this whole evening. Finally, I have cracked chapter 5. Like, I was stuck in the beginning portion where I was actually making up new stuff that was not in the original chapter, and basically making the travel portion a little more fleshed out with like what the country looks like and stuff like that. But then once I finally hit what was in the chapter previously and actually doing the rewrite, things started moving and even more fast and easily than I could have ever expected. I am at 3000 words for this chapter, which is insane because it's less than half. There is still like a little bit of this scene left, but like I have turned, wait a moment, I have turned 1000 words into 3. The inflation on this damn draft is going to be insane because like I am already 25,000 words into draft 2 and I am at chapter 5 of 50 something. The whole of Act 1 in draft 1 is 32,000 words. I am almost at that point, and I am not even a quarter of my way through Act 1. What? How? But also, I don't think I'm overwriting. I actually think that this is necessary and it just will become an extremely chunky book. Because remember, this is political fantasy. And it's setting up so much and it's trying to actually do it in depth. Like, remember my rants about how the previous draft is 140,000 words and it feels not fleshed out? Yeah, this is what it looks like when it's actually fleshed out. It's insanely long. But like, the chapter I'm currently rewriting is already almost 7,000 words long, and when I have made the first 1,000 into 3, I am scared to see what the final word count on this one will look like. I am enjoying the act of rewriting it so damn much because now when I read it through, I can see that the old version is like functional. It's not bad. It's good, but it's only good. This new draft 2 version is so much better and like, okay, it should be a no-brainer, but like there has been 3 years between the drafts and it shows. It really shows. I don't even know how. So yes, I am extremely happy with myself and I take extreme joy in just like rereading the new versions I wrote and over analyzing every stuff and like all the subtle layers because like draft 1 it was very on the nose. Like it communicated what it needed to communicate, but that was it. This one has like 3 or 4 different layers of subtext, and that's how it should be. So it's turning into actual book. Yay. And there is part of that because I am not a native English speaker, and the draft 1 was written when I only first started writing in English. And like it is already good for that by itself. Like that's impressive. But now it's like I have reached a whole nother level with this damn language. Hello and happy Sunday. Today is November 30th, so last day of November and last day of my writing challenge. And like, what the hell? How did we get here? How did the month fly so fast? Today all I need to do is walk the dogs, so that's good because then I can spend the rest of the day writing. But first, we need to deal with this absolute disaster because what is this and how can I even try to work in here? Can you stop screaming? What is so important that you have to tell us? Okay, nothing. Well, look how much better and more functional this is. Now I can dive into more work. Alright, I cannot believe that November is already over. How did it pass so quickly? Like, what happened? Anyway, so yesterday, on the last day of November, I said I would be writing the whole day. I did not. I only managed to get down to it at like 10 p.m. and so I got maybe 1200 words and only a little bit of that was in the actual chapter. So I cannot believe the entire progress for the month because I have written 27,000 words during November, which is absolutely insane considering I have never written that much in a month. The wildest thing about that word count, even though it might not seem impressive to other people's standards who are used to writing 50,000 words in November, is that it didn't feel that difficult. Like some days it was a little bit of a struggle, but suddenly writing like big word counts, like 2,000 words in a day, which I am not used to by itself, was not as difficult as it used to be. And so, yes, I had those 2 weeks of break when I got a little bit burnt out, but I wonder on what word count would I have ended up on if I have actually written, well, maybe not every single day, but most of the days. Probably 40,000, hopefully. I will not keep this pace going forward, but it is nice to know that I can keep this pace and that I could have kept a higher pace if I just decided to abandon chapter 5 and jumped into some point of the story that excites me more, because yes, that was the entire problem of the blog. Not that I couldn't have written words at all, but that I wasn't feeling inspired with that specific chapter, and just going non-linearly would have solved that. But yes, me jumping around now has created some issues when I have to bridge the chapters, but now for the other goal was to edit in draft 2 10 chapters. Well, that obviously didn't happen. I have managed to successfully finish 4. No, 3, because I have written chapter 1 in September. So chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 4 are finished. And then we have like half of chapter 5 and most of chapter 7, which is already at 4,000 words. My goal to finish Act 1, which is 20 chapters by the end of this year, turns out to be incredibly unrealistic, and I need to adjust my expectations because the chapters are turning out to be much longer and more fleshed out than I have anticipated. But like, that's to be expected. I have never ever before edited anything and done a revision. And it's my first time approaching draft 2. So how can I even try having any sort of timeline expectations? I really shouldn't. The goal for December will be to get another 10,000 maybe. I'll finish those first 10 chapters probably. The rest of them, it should be fun. There are some very interesting scenes coming up. And so that is all for this full November vlog. It is funny that I wanted to divide it into weeks, and then it happened that I will have to make it into one big video. But I hope you have enjoyed this massive vlog, and now I am off to do some Christmas stuff.